To me, this is a bridge replacement project. It's not a corridor improvement. It's not where the bridge is a little piece of a long stretch of highway. It's a bridge replacement, old school H&H project. H&H was the prime consultant. We designed the entire bridge from abutment to abutment. We did the highway, alignment profile, and that the superstructure, both the movable and the approach spans. We did the substructure, we did the foundations. Our hydraulic engineers looked at scour and flood resiliency. It's just a good old school bridge replacement project. So the existing bridge in 2009 had a sufficiency rating of 25 out of 100. That's not very good. The superstructure in particular was in poor condition. We're right by the ocean here, beautiful environment, but the salt there just chews up steel. The new bridge is going to be designed with current design standards. You've got a reliable, safe bridge, a whole new mechanical electrical system, less chance of any mechanical malfunctions, which delays traffic, causes problems for marine navigation. We also did intersection improvements on the Route 36 State Highway here, as well as Ward Avenue over here in Rumson.
One of the biggest challenges for this project, I would say, is the in-water restrictions. The contractor wasn't allowed to do any in-water work between March 1st and June 30th. So it became really critical when trying to meet the project schedule. So one of the things that we needed to do was make sure that we were getting the submittals in on time, especially the cofferdam submittals. Now, what the cofferdams are these systems that are enclosed in the water with basically with steel sheeting. So once those are in place, it allows the contractor to work inside of them without having to worry about those in-water restrictions. So we needed to make sure we got those reviewed, accepted, and approved, especially by the U.S. Coast Guard, in order to keep the project moving.
Interdisciplinary coordination. You've got so many people, so many disciplines working on this job. It starts with the highway engineers. They have to set the profile and the alignment. Now the structural engineers have to figure out how to carry that alignment. What size girders do we need? Where do they go? We have to have a substructure team. We've got to support the superstructure. Then we have a geotech department to design the foundations. They've got to work with our hydraulic department as well as for scour and flood resiliency. We've got a movable span, so now the structural engineers have to interface with the mechanical engineers, the electrical engineers. We've got also mechanical and electrical equipment. We have to figure out how to support it. We have to provide enough space so that machinery or electrical components can be accessed in the future for maintenance and repairs. And on top of that, we've got architectural disciplines we need to deal with. I think the architects on Rumson did a fantastic job. This is a beautiful bridge. It's all up to code. But figuring it out where everyone's got their own interest, every discipline. You got to come together, you work, everybody makes compromises, it all comes together. And that happened on this project. I just think that was wonderful. You know, it's funny, innovative solution. H&H has so many movable bridges. I go to seminars and other companies will pitch innovative solutions. I'm like, well, we do that all the time. To me, that's almost like our standard procedure. With flood resiliency, we made sure there's no openings in the bascule piers below the design flood elevation. The water can't get in. For the bascule span, we use an exodermic deck system, lightweight concrete. We use UHPC concrete for the closure pores for strength. We overcoated that with a PPC overlay. The mechanical electrical systems, we have multiple levels of redundancy, including a natural gas emergency drive. This all has to be integrated into our control system, which is very challenging and requires innovation on the part of our electrical leaders as well.
One thing I'd like to point out about this project actually isn't bridge related, but it had to do with the environmental protections. On either side of the bridge, there's parks, and what we did as an innovative approach is we engaged the community, engaged the proper agencies very early on in the design to make sure that all the needs of the communities and of those agencies, and that we're meeting federal regulations, because what we didn't want to happen was getting through design and then figuring out that we weren't meeting the requirements. It was really important during design that we were able to construct something without impacting the community, or at least mitigating impacts to the community. One of the things we did was, instead of doing a detour with an inline replacement, we decided to build the bridge offline, and that allowed us to keep the existing bridge open during construction. The other thing we did was because we were working in close proximity to the existing bridge, as well as to the surrounding businesses and the residential areas, we made sure that the contract documents included vibration control measures, dust control, and noise control measures. That way, those could be kept in place during the construction. We used our really talented in-house architectural group to make sure that our design really matched the aesthetic of the existing community, because that was really important to the county and the surrounding area. Constant communication with the client was really important. It allowed us to understand in real time what their needs were, instead of waiting for draft submissions for them to make comments and things like that. So understanding what their needs were in real time allowed us to focus on quality, instead of worrying about having to do rework down the road, worrying about budget, worrying about schedule, things like that.
So as part of our design team, we had a community liaison who was in constant contact with the community. We had a website that was set up. Residents could post questions via email. These were immediately communicated to Monmouth County. Any concerns were immediately addressed by the county. Just generally keeping everyone informed. If we have a lane closure coming up, if we have activities that are driving piles, just constant communication through our community liaison. We all just work together as a team. That was what really made this project a pleasure to work on. Everyone at H&H, all the disciplines, the client, the DOT, all the agencies, everybody worked together to get the job done. We avoid all these issues that could come up in construction, because we've been there, we've seen what can happen, we know how to address it during the design phase, we know how to put that into the contract documents. For instance, we set up pre-qualifications for bidders. Originally, we wanted to make the contractor pre-qualified for movable bridge construction. We thought about that, we talked to Monmouth County about that, and we said, well, it's not just a movable span we're constructing here. We're doing an entire bridge, we do have intersection improvements. We're going to make our prime contractor has to be qualified under what NJDOT calls code number 5, which is heavy construction highway, and had experience in building a bridge excess of $50 million in the past 10 years. But then we required the contractor to have specialty movable subcontractors, and this included a movable bridge structural steel erection, mechanical, electrical, control house, as well as requiring the contractor to hire a movable bridge project coordinator who during construction is responsible for coordinating all the construction activities related to movable bridges, structural, mechanical, electrical, as well as architectural.
Growing up, I spent a lot of my time down the shore with my family. Every weekend we would go down the shore during the summer, and I actually spent a lot of my summer time down there, meeting friends and family. And on my drive down and on my bike rides down the roads, I would always see these beautiful bridges. And actually, to get into the town we lived in, you had to go over a double-weight basket. And I always wondered how those worked. And I always thought that one day that would be something that I would want to work on. And I believe that this is something that really drove me to become an engineer. And this now is kind of coming full circle, where I was able to work on the Rumson Road Bridge. It's very, very similar to the type I grew up crossing since I was maybe 5 or 6 years old. So it's really a full circle moment for me.
I think what this project has meant to me is I just really enjoyed working on it. I liked everybody that I work with, and I don't like everybody, to be honest with you. I'm a grumpy individual. And this started with the client, Monmouth County, Joe Etor in particular, Monmouth County engineer. Just a pleasure to work with. He's decisive, he gets things done. As well as every discipline at H&H. I love working with our mechanical and electrical guys. I really think we have the best electrical engineers in the business. I actually enjoyed working with the architects too. I thought that would be a pain, but it wasn't. I think they did a great job on this project. When it went to construction, I enjoyed that as well. I think R.E. Pearson, as the prime contractor, did a great job. Their structural steel subcontractor, Cornell, is always a pleasure to work with. WSP was the RE. They were fantastic. They kept us informed. We really worked as a team. And when you have that teamwork and everyone's working together, and it's all about building a bridge. It's not about getting change orders. It's not about winning awards. It's about getting the job done. That's what I really like. I enjoy with this bridge, and it's just about over, and that's kind of bittersweet because I'm gonna miss this project.